since the inception till now, till date, I've always been giving you guys content in relation to hyperhidrosis and other sweat-related issues, because sweat issues are not discussed in this country. And when it comes to treatment, we are very limited in terms of the possible solutions, the practical and sustainable solutions. What do we have at our disposal? Or what has been the long-standing topical treatment that any doctor can prescribe for you if you have sweat issues? For the longest time, Dracula has been the go-to topical treatment. So if you go to any dermatologist and they, for those dermatologists who take their time and they have to conduct a Q&A background sweat sessions, like we do with HAK, and I think even on personal level, if you've ever sent me a chat, a text message, or even through a phone call, I tend to do the Q&A, and I will ask you questions just to get to understand your sweat issue. When did your sweat start? And, is your sweat mild, excessive, or extreme? How would you rate your sweat? Does it interfere with your daily activities such as work, relationship, school life? All these questions are geared towards ascertaining, or rather to rule out possibilities of underlying causes, and also as well ascertain your type and category of sweat. So whether yours is primary focal hyperhidrosis, which is sweat that is earlier than the age of 25. So you have a sweat issue that started at early childhood or somewhere around teenagehood, or early, as a youth from the age of 18. Youth is from, in other developed countries, the way they look at youth is someone from the age of 12 all the way to 18. Or once you hit 18, you're a young adult. So 18 to 25, youth in Asia at the age of 25. That is how it's supposed to be. So I'm looking at you as a young adult. At the age of 18 is when your sweat is starting. So you see, it's any sweat that is earlier than the age of 25 years. Or if your sweat started from the age of 25 going forward, then there's a higher possibility that your sweat is secondary generalized hyperhidrosis. Now, from my own point of view, from my own perspective, most dermatologists, in whether it's a private practice or a public dermatologist, you see, a derma is a specialist. Their main specialty is anything that has to do with the skin. So even the sweat occurs on the skin. That's why a dermatologist is the best specialist to consult for your sweat issues. So a dermatologist has a window of about 10 to 15 minutes. So the 10 minutes or the 15 minutes accounts for the moment the client, now the patient, walks in. You fill in the insurance claim forms, and then you either given a tag or your name is written down, and then now you have to wait for your turn to be called out. Depending on the level of the issue at hand, one client may take a lot of time compared to the other. And I know most of us have experienced, whether you've consulted a GP or a dermatologist, you go in and maybe your issue ni kitu ya haraka, so unaweza ona mtu ameingia alafu hawakai for long, they're out. And there are clients who will go in and they may end up even taking more time. It's because it depends with the severity of the issue at hand, the health issue in this case. So a dermatologist has about 10 to 15 minutes. Na hiyo yote ina account from the moment you walk into the practice, You fill in your details, if you're using insurance or you're paying cash, to waiting for your turn for you to be called to go and see the doctor. And by the time you're done, to get your form, whether there's a prescription needed, that whole entire process is about 10 to 15 minutes. But again, I'm saying it depends with the severity of the issue. So you have hyperhidrosis. Number one, we don't have a sweat clinic in the country that is specialized on sweat issues. A specialist, for instance, like a gynecologist, a gyna deals with women's health issues, anything to do with their reproductive organ. So there is no way you can go to a general physician when you have vaginal issues, just using this as an example, because the general physician will write a referral, or rather, yes, will write a referral, which means they are referring you to a specialist, someone who's fully dedicated and will be able to ascertain the root cause of the issue. In this country, we don't have a sweat clinic. Seriously, we don't have. So if you consult a dermatologist, the same dermatologist has a client who has eczema, psoriasis, or any of the skin issues, and they are all waiting to be served by him. So one doctor to serve all of you. You with hyperhidrosis, another one with an allergic reaction, like early this year. No, not early this year. In 2024, I had a whole entire allergic reaction, which I had a rash on my forearm, yote both, from the neck all the way. I don't even know where it came from. I tried to retrace my steps. Did I take something? Did I apply a cream or a moisturizer that had a reaction? No, but I couldn't trace I think you're getting the point. So kuna mimi, there are all these different people who want, or rather they're looking to be served by the same dermatologist. Now you have hyperhidrosis. You go in there and the doctor will start asking questions like, when has this been, the frequency of it. They may not get deep into understanding the issue, especially if they've never come across such cases. You cannot expect a dermatologist who has only seen like 3 people with hyperhidrosis for a whole year, and another dermatologist who has seen about 10 people with hyperhidrosis or other sweat-related issues. The experience is different because the one who has seen around 3 people, if the next person comes in na si kitu, okay, watatu, huyu ameona watatu in a whole year, huyu mwingine ameona like 10 have consulted this dermatologist. Experience ya huyu na this other one is very different. So most of them, they may end up rule out the possibility from a secondary generalized perspective. This is why most doctors, wenye hawajakuwa na that experience, and the experience in this case, I'm talking about the number of patients with sweat issues that they have provided treatment or presided over their treatment, compared kwa ule mwenye amekuwa na that experience, meaning this particular doctor has provided treatment for different people with sweat issues. So the other doctor may end up giving the diagnosis and as he narrow down to a secondary generalized issue. So perspective yake itakuwa ni, umekuwa na malaria, have you like received treatment for malaria? No. So even the test that they are going to really push for is for viral or bacterial infections. So utaangalia kama they will test for typhoid, they will test for malaria. There are those who will even go a notch higher, test for your uh, thyroid gland, for hypothyroidism. So the approach itakuwa from the secondary generalized perspective, which there is nothing wrong with it. I mean, at the end of the day, even if you have primary focal hyperhidrosis, it's imperative for the doctors to also test for your thyroid, because if your thyroid is overactive, that can also contribute to the increase in your sweat issue. If you have hormonal imbalance, this is why even with hyperhidrosis, the approach inafaa ikuwe very, very distinct, inafaa ikuwe even broad. Besides asking the Q&A questions, when did it start? Is there, like for HAK, we go deep. When we ask these questions, we also include family history. Is there a sweat issue or a sweat history in your family? Maybe your dad used to sweat a lot on your face. Maybe your mom used to sweat a lot on her underarms. But for you, you're sweating a lot on your palms. Because when we ask history of sweat issues, I think clients instinctively, they connect it with their sweat issue, their area of focus. So if you're sweating on your palms, you try and connect. My mom or my parents, both my parents, none of them sweat on their palms. But when we ask for history of sweat issue, we are looking at other areas. Do they sweat on their face? Like I remember my dad used to sweat a lot on his face. My mom sweats a lot on her underarms. So I got the best of them all, because out of 4 of us, I'm the only sibling with hyperhidrosis. Me, myself. But when I look back, my dad used to sweat a lot on the face. He used to have craniofacial hyperhidrosis, but mostly on the face. My mom was mostly on the underarms. So I believe now you're beginning to get the point, to connect that when we ask about history of sweat issues, it's not because of your current area of sweat, but mostly it's about, around your family tree, your parents, your siblings, maybe your uncle, your auntie. Kuna ule mwenye alikuwa una notice ako na sweat issue. 2 to 3% of the whole thing accounts for genetic hyperhidrosis, but the percentage, it grows. You can imagine now the 40% of the population struggles with excessive sweating, whether it's primary focal or secondary generalized. So I do understand why some, not all, but a certain percentage of medical practitioners may not be able to fully help individuals living with hyperhidrosis or other sweat-related issues. And this is because of the number of clients or patients that consult them. That is number one. Number two is the experience. Remember, sweat issues are not addressed. Very few doctors, very few. And this, I got this from the most amazing dermatologists that I had the time and the chance to interact and to work with, that also helped me when I had my cholesterol was overboard and I developed a very severe acne breakout on my face. Though he's not here with us anymore, that is Dr. Jose Awero. He was the one who told me, Martin, all the dermatologists you know that are on public domain or around the country, there are so many dermatologists, but very few have knowledge of hyperhidrosis. This is coming from a very senior dermatologist and a consultant, a doctor and a consultant, telling me that we have doctors and dermatologists around the country that do not understand sweat issues, that is hyperhidrosis. We haven't even touched on the other sweat issues. We haven't even touched on bromidrosis. We haven't even touched on fish odor syndrome or all these other sweat issues, just hyperhidrosis alone. And that makes a lot of sense because it's actually true. When I look over the years, how many patients have called me to tell me that this doctor told me this, but whatever I'm telling them, it's conflicting with the reality that was given to them. You consult a general physician and they tell you there is nothing we can do. This is normal. Everybody sweat. Then you deep down, you know there is something wrong. So you do your research and you come across HAK. You get in touch with Martin, and Martin is now giving you treatment levels. You have your level 1, level 2, and it sounds crazy. It sounds new to you because one entity told you there is nothing we can do, but on this other side, you've been given options, you've been given solutions. On this other side, someone is telling you that, yes, your sweat issue can be managed, can be controlled. You can experience a change in your sweat patterns. You have your long-term and your short-term. Do I blame the medical practitioners? No. They have a lot on their plate. And this is why initiatives or foundations that exist to champion on various and different health issues, they alleviate and ease some of these burdens away from the doctors. So if I get particular now in this sense, and I tend to focus more on Hyperhidrosis Awareness Kenya, HAK, we have no sweat issue in the country. Sweat clinic, not sweat issue. We lack a sweat clinic in the country. We don't have a specialty that only deals with sweat issues in the country. So Hyperhidrosis Awareness Kenya wants to bridge the gap to ensure that when you go to a general practitioner and they tell you that there is no solution, you know that this is the place where nikienda hapa, I will leave that place with the full knowledge of everything about my sweat issue. Now, we are not talking about finding a cure or a permanent solution. You're going to leave that place with the full knowledge of what's going on with you and with your sweat issue. HAK is there to bridge in the gap and also to ease in that burden. Because there are so many doctors who refer clients to Hyperhidrosis Awareness Kenya. And I know most of you who will get to watch this video, you've been recommended by a doctor that I don't even know. Go to HAK. Some doctors even have my contacts because my contacts are on public domain. So they give you my contacts, say, call this man. Or maybe I have a mutual doctor that I know that has my contacts, and he or she happens to share my contacts with the fraternity, with the association of dermatologists or with their fellow colleagues. So they're able to refer their clients to me. And is Martin a doctor? Martin is not a doctor. But all I'm doing is try to help the medical fraternity, the doctors, the dermatologists. I want to help them so that when it comes to sweat treatment, we have the solution. My goal is for this country, our country, Kenya, to be solution-oriented when it comes to sweat issues of all kind. I would love that across the African continent, that even other countries can attest that if you want your sweat issues, if you want to know, if you want to get deep down to the root cause of your sweat issue, all you have to do is book a flight, go to Kenya. So far over the years, we've done it in Tanzania. I'm known in Tanzania as a doctor with my fellow clients from Tanzania. Mimi si daktari wala mtaalamu, lakini you guys decided that I am a doctor and a specialist. So let me accept it. The only thing that I do, mi hutaka kusaidia the hyperhidrosis family and to give you guys solutions which hata mi mwenyewe, you see, I want the best outcomes for myself is the same that I want for you, right? And whenever you consult a doctor and they are not able to help you, understand they don't have the vast knowledge to your sweat issue. I think we have this perception that doctors know everything. No, doctors don't know everything. This is why if you consult a general physician, they will always recommend that you go consult a specialist. They will always do that. Go consult a specialist. For instance, if a parent who has an infant or a young one with sweat issues and they're able to see it, that they're sweating even at a younger age, there are pediatricians who are best to advise or to, best to advise and to handle the situation. And this year going forward, I want to connect to some of those pediatricians. There is one that I've identified, and I want to get in touch with this particular pediatrician and see whether I can have him on our platform and we can discuss further on sweat issues and if he can support, because you see, awareness is not just for HAK, awareness is not just for Martin. I'm also looking at how we and the part of the bigger family. You know, when I talk about the hyperhidrosis family, it's not just individuals with sweat issues. I'm also including doctors. I'm including all the stakeholders out there, because this awareness is not just for me. This awareness is for everyone. So imagine if we have a sweat clinic. Doctors don't have to worry when it comes to treatment. They know. Go to Hyperhidrosis Awareness Kenya, you'll get topical treatments. They can even have, or rather they can write a prescription. They can even write a certain dry for you. They can write sweat block. They can write CAPE, because they know if you go to HAK, you will find that CAPE. They can even now request and prescribe antiphoresis machine treatment. And they can even write a note. They can even go further and have a note or a prescription note requesting the insurance if they can buy antiphoresis machine for. Na sitachoka kuambia, if you talk to your employers, it is possible for them to buy for you the antiphoresis machine. If you talk to your insurance, they can do it. If you talk to your dermatologist, it's a whole, okay, it's a process. It may take time, lakini it's possible. But I can do a separate content on that. But I'm looking at a situation whereby doctors now, they know they can have that confidence here. If I send you there, I know you'll get the help you need. So you can consult them. They will conduct their diagnosis. They will rule out the possibility of your type and category of sweat. And now, if need be that you need level 1 treatment, they will send you to HAK. Now, prior to that, where were doctors sending their clients? There was no HAK before, up until 2018. So where were they sending their clients? So I'm looking at the progress. And I'm also looking at the challenges. I'm addressing the challenges. And I have solutions for the challenges. And this is where now funding comes in. With proper funding, a lot of these issues, we are looking at about 80% of those issues zitakuwa zishakuwa sorted. So we are remaining with the 20%, which is now on building capacity. Imagine over 50 clients tumewasaidia kubuy antiophoresis machine. We've been availing topical treatments. I want you to think of HAK being funded, what we can do as an organization for the hyperhidrosis family. And like I said, hyperhidrosis family includes all the stakeholders. We are looking at parents, we are looking at the clients, now the patients, we are looking at the doctors, we are looking at all the stakeholders. They all stand to benefit.